The night Jalen Brunson forced the Kobe debate, one night, one arena, one fourth quarter that made the entire NBA stop breathing. Jalen Brunson did not just win a championship for New York. He detonated a debate so dangerous, so emotional, and so personal that basketball fans are still arguing over it. Is Brunson really the closest thing this generation has seen to Kobe Bryant? It sounds impossible at first. Kobe Bryant is not just a name in basketball, he is a standard. 5 rings, 18 All-Star selections, 2 Finals MVPs, an 8 one-point game, a global legacy, a mentality that became bigger than the sport itself. So when ESPN analyst Alan Hahn said Brunson was the closest thing to Kobe that fans have seen, the reaction was instant. Some fans laughed, some were offended. Some Knicks fans stood up and said, "Finally, someone understands what we've been watching." But here is the part nobody could ignore. In Game 5 of the 2026 NBA Finals, Jalen Brunson walked into the biggest night of his career and dropped 45 points. Not in a regular season game, not in an empty pressure moment. He did it with the championship sitting right there, with the Knicks trying to end a title drought that had haunted New York since 1973. The pressure was massive. The lights were blinding. The Spurs had Victor Wembanyama, Dylan Harper, length, energy, and every reason to believe they could extend the series. Brunson did not blink. He attacked. He slowed the game down. He hunted matchups. He hit tough shots. He absorbed contact. He turned Madison Square Garden into something louder than a basketball arena. In the fourth quarter, every possession felt like a test, and every time the Knicks needed an answer, Brunson gave them one. That is where the Kobe comparison begins. Not because Brunson has Kobe's resume, he does not. Not because he is the same size, the same athlete, or the same defender. He is not. The comparison begins in the uncomfortable moments, when the game gets ugly, when efficiency does not look pretty, when the right basketball play becomes less important than the player willing to take responsibility for the out. Kobe was that kind of player. And in that finals closeout game, Brunson looked like that kind of player too. He finished the series averaging over 32 points per game, became finals MVP, and delivered New York its first NBA championship in more than 5 decades. That is not just a great playoff run, that is a legacy-changing moment. The kind of moment that takes a player out of the very good conversation and throws him into something far more dangerous. Historical comparison, and that is why the internet exploded. Because when you say a player reminds you of Kobe Bryant, you are not just talking about footwork or fadeaways. You are stepping into sacred territory. You are talking about obsession, pain tolerance, competitive fire, the willingness to miss 10 shots and still demand the 11th. The belief that pressure is not something to survive, but something to own. Brunson has that. Maybe not on Kobe's level. Maybe not across 20 years. But in New York, under the brightest lights, with the weight of a starving franchise on his shoulders, he showed the same rare refusal to back down. So now the question is not whether Jalen Brunson is Kobe Bryant. He is not. The real question is more interesting. Did Brunson just give the NBA its first true glimpse of a modern Mamba-style leader in a completely different body, a completely different city, and a completely different era? Before we go deeper, let me know where you are watching from right now. Are you riding with Brunson, or do you think the Kobe comparison has gone way too far? Comment 1 if Brunson deserves the comparison, comment 2 if nobody should ever be compared to Kobe, and make sure you subscribe because this story is only getting more intense from here. The comment that split the NBA, the moment Alan Hahn said Jalen Brunson was the closest thing to Kobe Bryant that fans had seen, the basketball world did not pause to think. It reacted. Fast, because in the NBA, some names are not just names. Kobe Bryant is one of them. You do not say that name casually. You do not attach it to a player after one hot playoff run and expect everyone to nod politely. Kobe means rings. Kobe means obsession. Kobe means impossible shots, brutal work, global impact, and a level of competitive mythology that still feels untouchable. So when Brunson's name was placed near that legacy, the internet turned into a courtroom. One side treated the comparison like disrespect. To them, Brunson was great, but Kobe was sacred. They saw 5 championships, 81 points, 2 finals MVPs, 18 All-Star selections, and 20 years of dominance. They heard the comparison and felt like the basketball world had lost its memory. Some fans joked that nobody in history had ever thrown a paper ball into a trash can and yelled, "Brunson." Others said NBA discourse needed to be shut down completely until people calmed down, but the other side had a different argument. They were not saying Brunson had Kobe's career. They were not saying he had Kobe's athletic gifts, defensive resume, or global aura. They were saying that in the biggest moments, Brunson carried himself with a familiar kind of fearlessness, the kind that makes a player ignore the noise, ignore the pressure, and take the shot everyone else is afraid to take. That is where the debate became more complicated. Because Brunson had just done something New York had waited more than 5 decades to see. He had taken a franchise buried under years of heartbreak, jokes, failed rebuilds, broken hopes, and endless pressure, and brought it back to the top of the NBA. He did not do it quietly. He did it by ripping through the playoffs, owning late-game possessions, and closing the finals with 45 points when the entire basketball world was watching. That kind of performance changes the way people speak about you. Before that night, Brunson was respected. After that night, he became dangerous in a historical conversation. And that is why Han's comment landed like gasoline on fire. It forced people to ask whether greatness is only measured by a full career resume, or whether certain moments can reveal the DNA of something bigger. The Kobe comparison was never clean. It was messy, emotional, and almost guaranteed to offend people. But that is exactly why it worked as a debate. Because deep down, even the people who hated it understood why someone said it. They saw the footwork. They saw the calm. They saw the stubborn shot making. They saw the refusal to hand the moment to someone else. And whether they wanted to admit it or not, they saw a little piece of the old Mamba fire burning in a smaller guard wearing a Knicks jersey. That does not make Brunson Kobe, but it explains why the conversation refused to die. Why Game 5 changed everything? Before Game 5, Jalen Brunson already had respect. After Game 5, he had a statue-type moment. That is the difference. Respect can come from stats. It can come from all-star appearances, regular season wins, big playoff nights, and smart basketball people saying the right things on television. But legacy is different. Legacy usually waits for one night where the pressure is so heavy that every possession feels like judgment. For Brunson, that night came in the 2026 NBA Final. The Knicks were not just trying to win a game, they were trying to bury 53 years of disappointment. Every fan in Madison Square Garden understood what was at stake. Every old highlight, every failed season, every broken promise, every superstar who never came, every team that got close but not close enough, all of it was sitting inside that building, and Brunson carried it like it belonged to him. Against San Antonio, nothing came easy. The Spurs had size, they had length, they had Victor Wembanyama hovering around the paint like a one-man warning sign. They had young energy, confidence, and the kind of roster that could make any shot feel rushed. Brunson was not supposed to make the game look comfortable, so he did something more impressive. He made discomfort look normal. He did not need perfect spacing. He did not need every switch to be clean. He did not need the defense to make a mistake. He found small cracks, tiny windows, half steps, shoulder angles, and rhythm changes. He got to his spots in the mid-range, backed defenders into trouble, froze help defenders with hesitation, and turned tough possessions into controlled damage. The fourth quarter was where the legend started to form. Every time San Antonio threatened to steal the air out of the Garden, Brunson answered. A pull-up, a floater, a tough finish, a free throw, a calm possession when everyone else looked tight. That is what made the performance feel different. It was not just the number. It was the timing of the number. 45 points in a finals closeout game does not feel like a box score. It feels like a declaration. That is why the Kobe conversation became impossible to ignore. Kobe's mythology was built on nights like that, moments when the game became tense, ugly, and emotional, and he still wanted the ball. Brunson did not copy Kobe's game that night. He did not look like a 6'6" wing taking fadeaways over double teams, but he carried the same burden. If this team was going to win, he was going to be the one to take them there, and that mattered. Because championships do not just crown teams, they reveal leaders. In that moment, Brunson was not the second-round pick anymore. He was not Luka's former running mate. He was not the undersized guard people kept trying to doubt. He was the face of New York basketball, standing in the one place where legends are either made or swallowed. And he did not get swallowed. He became Finals MVP. He ended the drought. He gave the Knicks a championship moment their fans had waited a lifetime to feel. And once a player does that, the conversation around him can never go back to what it was before. Game 5 did not make Jalen Brunson Kobe Bryant, but it made people understand why someone would dare to bring Kobe's name into the room. The mid-range connection. The strongest connection between Kobe Bryant and Jalen Brunson is not the trophy case. It is the real estate. Both players built their most dangerous moments in the part of the floor. Modern basketball keeps trying to erase the mid-range. The space between the paint and the three-point line, the area analytics departments often treat like a bad investment. The zone where possessions become personal, defenders get isolated, and the difference between a good scorer and a great shot maker becomes painfully obvious. Kobe lived there. He turned the mid-range into an art form. The jab step, the pivot, the shoulder fake, the fadeaway with a defender breathing on him, the pull-up when the shot clock was dying. Kobe's game was not designed to make a spreadsheet smile. It was designed to break the defender in front of him. He was willing to take shots most coaches would hate because he believed his preparation made those shots acceptable. That is the part people forget. Kobe did not just take difficult shots because he wanted attention. He took them because he had practiced them until difficulty became part of the routine. His greatness was not simply that he made hard shots. It was that he made hard shots feel like a planned outcome. Brunson has his own version of that. He is not flying over defenders. He is not using Kobe's height or length. He does not have the same frame, the same elevation, or the same defensive intimidation. But Brunson uses angles like weapons. He plays with pace, patience, balance, and footwork. He gets defenders leaning one way, then slips into the space they just abandoned. He turns his body into a shield. He makes bigger defenders uncomfortable by forcing them to defend on his rhythm instead of theirs. That is why the comparison has texture. It is not about identical movement. It is about shared stubbornness. Both players looked at basketball trends and ignored them when necessary. Kobe played through an era when isolation scoring was being questioned. Brunson is thriving in an era where teams want threes, layups, and free throws. Yet when the playoffs slow down, when defenses switch everything, when easy shots disappear, the mid-range suddenly becomes valuable again. And Brunson understands that better than almost anyone. In the playoffs, systems can get disrupted. Sets can break. First options can be denied. The defense knows every action before it happens. That is when a team needs someone who can create a shot with nothing but balance, patience, and nerve. Kobe did that for years. Brunson did it on the biggest stage of his life. That is why Reggie Miller calling Brunson the Kobe Bryant of point guards hit so hard. It was not a lazy comparison. It was about craft. It was about how a smaller guard mastered the same forbidden territory Kobe once ruled from the wing. But there is also a modern twist. Brunson is not only a mid-range player anymore. His three-point shooting has become a serious weapon. That matters because it stretches the defense before he even starts working inside the arc. If defenders play too far back, he punishes them from deep. If they press up, he uses footwork to get downhill or reaches comfort spots. That evolution makes Brunson dangerous in a way that belongs to this era. Kobe was the old school assassin. Brunson is the modern technician carrying an old school soul. Different bodies, different eras, different tools. But when the clock is low and the defense is locked in, both players believe the same thing. Give me the ball, and I will find a way. The truth nobody can ignore. Jalen Brunson is not Kobe Bryant. That has to be said clearly, because if we skip that truth, the whole debate becomes dishonest. Kobe's resume is on another planet. 5 championships, 18 All-Star selections, 2 Finals MVPs, 1 regular season MVP, 9 All-Defensive First Team selections, 2 scoring titles, more than 33,000 points, and an 8-1 point game that still feels unreal. Brunson is not there. He has 1 championship, 1 Finals MVP, multiple All-Star appearances, and a growing reputation as one of the most dangerous clutch players in the NBA. That is incredible, but it is not Kobe's full legacy. And that is exactly why the comparison is so controversial. Because the real argument is not about achievement, it is about mentality. Kobe was bigger, more athletic, more dominant defensively, and far more decorated. Brunson has to win differently. He uses angles, pace, strength, footwork, and patience. Kobe could rise over defenders. Brunson has to outthink them. But when the game gets tight, when the defense is set, when the shot clock is dying, Brunson has shown something familiar. He wants the ball. He accepts the responsibility. He is not afraid of the ugly possession, the difficult shot, or the moment that can define his name forever. That is where the Kobe feeling comes from. Not because Brunson has matched Kobe. He has not. Maybe he never will. But greatness does not always return in the same body or the same form. Sometimes it shows up as a smaller guard in New York, carrying a franchise that had been waiting since 1973. So no, Brunson is not Kobe Bryant, but he has earned the right to be discussed as a player carrying a piece of that same competitive fire. From overlooked to unstoppable. The most powerful part of Jalen Brunson's story is that almost nobody expected this. He was not drafted like a future superstar. He was not treated like a franchise savior. In 2018, he entered the NBA as the 33rd pick, respected for his college success at Villanova, but questioned because of his size, athleticism, and ceiling. To many people, he was a smart guard, a solid backup, a good role player. Then he kept proving them wrong. In Dallas, Brunson played next to Luka Doncic, and that meant he was never truly seen as the face of the team. Luka was the superstar. Luka was the franchise. Brunson was the reliable guard who kept things steady, made smart plays, and stepped up when needed. But there were flashes. When Luka was out, Brunson showed he could take over. He attacked defenses, controlled the pace, and made winning plays under pressure. Still, when Luka returned, Brunson had to slide back into the background. In Dallas, he was valuable. In New York, he became something more. When he signed with the Knicks in 2022, many people question if he could really lead that franchise. New York is not an easy city. Madison Square Garden can turn pressure into fire, but Brunson did not run from it. He embraced it. Game by game, he became the heartbeat of the Knicks. Then the captain, then the closer, then the finals MVP. From pick 33 to the face of New York basketball, Brunson's rise is not just a basketball story. It is a warning. Never mistake being overlooked for being limited. New York found its new king. New York does not trust easily. Knicks fans have heard promises before. They have watched rebuilds fail, stars disappoint, and hope turn into heartbreak. So when Jalen Brunson arrived, he was not automatically crowned. He had to earn it, and that is exactly what made the city love him. Brunson did not come to New York with superstar noise. He came with work, he came with patience, he came with leadership. Every big shot, every playoff battle, every calm fourth quarter made the connection strong. New York saw a player who fought like the city itself. He was not the tallest, fastest, or flashiest star in the league, but he was tough, smart, and fearless. That matters in Madison Square Garden. That building does not just celebrate talent, it rewards nerve. By the time Brunson led the Knicks to the championship, he was no longer just their point guard. He was their guy. His team-friendly contract made that bond even stronger. In a league where stars often chase every dollar, Brunson made a decision that gave the Knicks more flexibility to keep building. That sent a message. Winning mattered more than ego. That is real leadership. Kobe had Los Angeles. Brunson has New York. The legacies are not equal, but the emotional connection is similar. A guard gives everything to one city, and that city gives everything back. Now the pressure gets heavier. One championship made Brunson beloved forever. A second could make him untouchable. That is the burden of becoming king in New York. Kobe was global. Brunson is personal. Off the court, Kobe Bryant and Jalen Brunson are very different. Kobe was global. His influence reached far beyond Los Angeles, far beyond the NBA, and even beyond sport. Mamba mentality became a phrase used by athletes, students, coaches, and business leaders around the world. Kobe was not just a basketball player. He became a symbol of obsession, sacrifice, discipline, and greatness. Brunson is building something quieter. His impact feels more personal, more local, more connected to community. Through his second-round foundation, Brunson has turned his own story into a message for young people. Being overlooked does not mean your dream is over. That fits him perfectly. He was a second-round pick. He was doubted. He was underestimated. Now, he is using that journey to inspire others who feel ignored or counted out. Kobe inspired through dominance. Brunson inspires through belief. And his leadership is different too. Kobe was intense, demanding, and sometimes overwhelming. Brunson leads with calm. He does not need to be the loudest person in the room. He leads by showing up, making sacrifices, and staying steady when pressure rises. His contract decision also reflects that. By taking a team-friendly deal, Brunson showed that he understood something important. Winning in New York cannot be built by one man alone. It takes trust, depth, and sacrifice. That is why Brunson does not need to copy Kobe's off-court legacy. Kobe became a global icon. Brunson is becoming something more grounded, a symbol of loyalty, patience, and quiet strength in the city that now believes in him. Can Brunson build a dynasty? One championship changes your legacy. 2 championships change history. That is the challenge now for Jalen Brunson. He already gave New York the moment it waited for since 1973. He already won Finals MVP. He already proved he could lead the Knicks to the top. But now comes the harder question. Can he do it again? That is where greatness gets tested. The first title brings celebration. The next season brings pressure. Every team will study Brunson. Every defense will prepare for his footwork, his mid-range game, his pace, and his late-game control. He will not surprise anyone anymore. That is the cost of becoming a champion. Kobe's career matters here because Kobe did not stay the same. He evolved. He changed his game as his body changed. He found new ways to win, new ways to score, and new ways to lead. Brunson must do the same. The good news is that his game is built to age well. He does not rely only on athleticism. He wins with balance, timing, strength, footwork, intelligence, and calm decision-making. Those skills can last deep into a player's 30s. The Knicks also have a real window. Brunson is in his prime. The city believes. The roster has proof. The front office has a blueprint. But NBA windows do not stay open forever. So, can Brunson build a dynasty? Maybe. But the better answer is this. He has already earned the right to make the league afraid that he can. The real lesson behind the Kobe debate: in the end, Jalen Brunson does not need to be Kobe Bryant. Kobe's legacy is complete. It belongs to basketball history. It belongs to Los Angeles. It belongs to every player and fan who was inspired by his fire, discipline, and impossible standard. Brunson's job is not to copy that. His job is to build his own legacy. That is the real lesson behind this debate. Greatness does not always look the same. Sometimes it is a 6'6" legend in Los Angeles. Sometimes it is a 6'2" guard in New York who was drafted 33rd and refused to accept the ceiling placed above him. Strategically, Brunson has given the Knicks something every franchise wants: identity. New York now knows who it is: tough, calm, smart, unafraid of pressure. Built around a leader who values winning, trust, and sacrifice. His rise also teaches something bigger than basketball. Being overlooked does not mean being finished. Leadership does not always have to be loud. Pressure does not have to break you. Sometimes pressure reveals who you really are. And fans should remember this too. Respecting Brunson does not disrespect Kobe. Kobe was one of one. Brunson is not replacing him. He is carrying a piece of that competitive spirit into a new era in his own way. That should not start a war. It should start a conversation. Brunson ended New York's 3-year title drought, became Finals MVP, and changed the way the league sees him forever. He is no longer the underestimated guard trying to prove he belongs. He is a champion trying to prove this was only the beginning. And maybe that is the most Mamba-like part of all. True competitors do not live in what they already accomplished. They wake up chasing what comes next. If you respect Brunson's journey, hit like, share this story with another NBA fan, and subscribe for more deep NBA breakdowns. Comment 1 if you believe Brunson can build a Knicks dynasty. Comment 2 if the Kobe comparison still goes too far. And comment 3 if New York has finally found its next all-time legend.